it's Krista here with Blooms and Brushstrokes. Welcome to my channel. Whoa, so I posted a video to do a Valentine's Day card and you guys have loved it and have shown me such immense support and yeah, you guys have really blown up my channel there a little bit. So thank you for that. I just wanted to say thank you for watching it, for all your comments, for all the new subscribers, to everyone that has returned to my channel. Thank you guys so very much. Honestly, the video itself, I think, has got me about 700 new subscribers, which is huge because I just hit the 1,000 subscriber mark. So anyways, I just wanted to say a big thank you to you guys for that. I also wanted to let you guys know that this will be, this tutorial here is going to be my last one before I go on holidays. Not the last one forever. I will be back, but I am taking off to Thailand on Monday. So I won't have time this week to do another one before I head off because I'm working every single day, and then I just won't have time in the evenings because I'm working late nights. So this will be the last tutorial. I do have a couple shorts that I will probably pop up while I'm in Thailand. And then I also have mentioned in the last video that I do plan to look for some locally made art supplies, and even just art supplies in general. I've looked up some online, and there are some interesting watercolors that I might find there. There's a store that I found, and then perhaps some locally made paintbrushes or anything like that. So I am going to try to do a little video of that stuff as well. So hopefully I can share some of that stuff with you guys as well. So I won't be totally MIA, but I just won't be able to make another tutorial. I just know that because it's already going to be a stretch for me to get this one edited and up early this week so that you guys can have it. And but yeah, I really wanted to do another one because I promised that one in my last video I would do one more tutorial, and we're just having so much fun doing this really loose style watercolor painting with ink that I thought, you know what, why not? I'm sitting here doing them anyways and doodling around, so why not doodle around with you guys a little bit and just have fun doing a tutorial. So as you guys know, I'm using the Yarka St. Petersburg paints. I have this CSY Art Gallery mini tin box of metallic, no, did I say ink? Watercolor paints, my apologies. I use ink as well. But anyway, so then I have this Yarka St. Petersburg paints. The supplies I'm using today are the Yarka St. Petersburg paints, the CSY metallic box of paints. You know what? These are kind of surprising me. You do have to use quite a bit of them to actually get some decent, so that you can see the metallic decently, but they're not too bad. For the price point, I'm quite impressed. So I will also be on the hunt for some of those. When I get back from my trip, there's some locally made paints in Regina, Saskatchewan called Stone Ground, and I am going to splurge and get me some of those when I get back because I really want to support local, and I thought I really want to get a new set of paints, but I don't want to spend any extra money before I go on my trip. So when I get back, I'm going to buy some of those, and those also have metallics in them, but I'm going to start with a beginner set. Anyway, and then I'm using a variety of paintbrushes. For the most part, I use the round brushes. So I use like a number 8, a number 10. These are Aqua Elite Princeton round brushes. The 8 is called a long round, and then the 10 is just a round. I will also use a number 1 script brush for a lot of the line work with the metallic. And then I will also use the 10-0 liner. So I use these 4. And sometimes I use this flat. What the heck size is this? 1-inch flat. So those are typically what I use for all my paintings. Somebody commented in the last one that they wanted to know which exact one I was using. So I was using the number 10 for the Valentine's Day one predominantly. But if you're ever if I ever don't specifically say, because sometimes I forget to, just shoot me a comment and I will let you guys know what I'm up to. And then I also will be using the #1 Micron archival ink pen for the line work afterwards. And then I just have the paper. Oh, this is something. So it's this Canson watercolor paper. I have this pad that's humongous and I just never use it. And it's just sitting there. So I thought for when I'm just playing around and doing these quick little tutorials, I'm going to use it up. So what I've done is I've actually cut it into smaller pieces. So this comes from like a giant, and it's basically this Canson watercolor paper. It's good for this. You know, if you're painting to sell or something, I wouldn't suggest this, but this is good for practice. So it's that, but it comes on this humongous pad. So that's what I'm using today, you guys. Anyways, that is going to do it for all the supplies that we're using. So get all your gear ready to go and let's have another fun painting tutorial here. I'm all set up here. So I just wanted to kind of show you guys a little reference as to what we will be doing something similar to. I did this week. I am going to a Galentine's Day event for brunch, and so I wanted to make these handmade cards, and so I painted this up, and I thought this one, I really love the color in it, and this one would be fun for us to do on a bit of a larger scale. So I'm going to be using a variety of different blues, purples, greens, golds to create this, and it's not going to be exactly the same, but something similar to that, just so you guys have an idea of what we're going to get up to. So let's get cracking, you guys. I have activated, I'll spray them down a little bit more, my paints to get them going so that they are ready to roll. And so just the same as I have been doing in the past few tutorials is working with the dots and then the dots of color and then using water to move them around in a very abstract way. So we're going to start with a bigger flower over here and then we'll do a little flower over here. Just a similar kind of composition as the last one. So we're going to, let me get my swatches here so I can tell you kind of what I'm using. These are kind of all mixed up already, but I've got the swatches here. And again, I always tell people, like, you don't need to use exactly what I'm using. And in fact, you can use all kinds of different colors. It's just more so the technique. So if you don't love the colors I'm using, then just do whatever colors you choose. And honestly, it can be totally random and abstract and still look absolutely beautiful. So, I mean, you don't see a ton of blue flowers out in nature. There's a very small amount of them that are blue, but we're painting them blue and purple. So for this, I'm using kind of a mix of the blue lake, the violet. I'm mixing a little bit of the neutral black in to kind of tone these down. I'll use perhaps a little bit of turquoise maybe, and then we are going to use some bright yellow in the center. So that gives you a general idea of what colors we're using, but you know what? And I was going to use the #10 round, but I think I'm going to go to the flat. I think I'm going to move into this one. We have such a big piece of paper that I think this is a good opportunity to try it out. So I'm going to do that. I don't use it a whole big bunch just because I don't do big pieces, but because I have a bit of a bigger piece of paper today. And typically when you're using a paper like this, you would want to give it a wash of water over top and then totally let it dry because it will bubble up a bit. But we're not doing that because I forgot to. So I'm going to use the blue lake. I'm going to get that in my little tray, and I'm going to add a little bit of neutral black into that to just take away some of that vibrant color. So my brush has a ton of water on it and it's got lots of color on it, and I'm just going to go around and do some dots. So if we want to say our flower is going to have 5 or 6 petals, we'll want to go and do some dots. Oh, this is going to be a little bit, I might put my dots, oh shoot. Okay, I am going to use my #10 to put my dots down. just because it doesn't, the brush just picks up so much, that flat just picks up so much pigment. So we're gonna go put our dots down. So we kind of gonna work a little bit quickly because otherwise it'll dry up, which is fine. Watercolor is fairly movable. We're gonna go, whoopsie, we're gonna put a little purple in there. So I'm just using the violet. That's okay, I got a bit of a splotch of color there. We're gonna plop those down. And maybe a teeny bit of turquoise. I don't know, I just kind of like, I love that turquoise. I'm a sucker for it. Okay, so now clean off your flat brush, whatever size you have. Make sure there's water on it, but not so it's dripping, but quite a bit of water. And we're just gonna start to move these around. Just like so. If you start to feel like it's just getting too blendy, clean off your brush. Ooh, cute. I think that looks pretty good. I typically like to leave a little bit more in the center that's not colored, but so I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that pigment in the center. I was like, oh, that looks really, really great so far. This paper is not great, so it can leave some interesting splotches around, but that's okay because we're just practicing. So I like that there's that turquoise in there, and I like to add just a teeny little bit more. So I'm going to go and grab a little bit on my number 10 round again. So we've moved back to that now that and I'm just going to add a little bit of that in there while there's still quite a bit of water from my first pass over with the flat brush. So that's just going to add a little bit of, depth to our petals. If you like a little bit more, a little bit of line in there, you can just go add a bit of that in there as well. Some lines that just kind of come up organically, which I always seem to like that. I think that looks really good. I also want to go in and add a little bit of that blue lake mixed with that neutral black, and I want to add a bit more of that down in here in the center as well. Add that nice deepness in there. And while things are still wet, because that's how you get that to move around. So I'm just kind of going around and adding the odd a little bit here and there. There's a pool of water down here, so I'm just going to kind of clean it up a bit so it doesn't end up being too much. I love that. I think that looks really, really great. So in the center of that, we can add now a little bit of yellow, and I'm going to go in with that bright cadmium yellow. It's very vibrant, almost like a lemony yellow, and we're going to let that bloom into some of this blue as well. Oftentimes the center of a flower is yellow, not always, but often. So we're just going to add that in there and let that be so. I think that's really good for now for that one. And now we're going to go off and do our other little flower down here. This one's going to be kind of off to the side, not quite as vibrant. So let's go in and grab our 10 Aqua Elite, or continue to use our 10 Aqua Elite round brush. And we're going to go in with that blue lake and neutral black, and we're just going to pop down some of that. And I want this one to be a little bit more muted as opposed to as vibrant as this one. I'm going to go in with some of that purple. Clean off your brush. Take quite a bit of the water off, but still quite a bit of water on there. We're just, with the brush, we are just kind of using the shape of it to create the shape of those petals. Ooh, I think that's very beautiful. Really, really love that. And I'm not going to go and, I will add a teeny little bit of the, oh, hi, buddy. I don't know if you guys can see text, but he just hopped up. So we're just going to add a teeny bit of this in here, turquoise, just to have a little cohesion between the flowers, but I don't want to overdo it. I like this one being kind of our main standout one. I'm just kind of moving that around a little, and there's not a whole big bunch of it. Adding just a little bit of that line in there. I think that looks really great. And then we can take a little bit of that darker, a little more concentrated, that blue lake and neutral black, and just pop some of that down in there as well. And then we'll go in with that cadmium yellow and dot a few of those in there, kind of all around. You can have it bleed a little bit. Doesn't need to necessarily connect or make a ton of sense, but I think that looks perfect. I'm really loving that. So if you enjoy those and you want to do a whole page of them, go ahead. I mean, that's the kind of fun of doing these exercises. Is like, this is just practice, and this is how we become good painters. We just keep practicing and practicing, and you know, this is a relatively new kind of style to me, but once I started doing it, I fell in love with it, and I just really enjoy the freedom and the movement of the color. So I've just been practicing it a ton and just having so much fun with it. So if you want to fill up your page, go ahead. I'm going to start on to doing some greenery. And so leaves there's so many different styles of leaves that you can do, and there's so many different shapes that you can use, but I like to keep it kind of basic just as we do these kind of beginner tutorials, because it makes it easy and not so frustrating. But the same kind of idea is we're going to do, you know, a few leaves over here and a couple leaves down here, and then we'll do some over here. So same as we've been doing with the dots, we're going to go in and do the same thing. So I'm going to put down some Russian green, olive green. We'll use a little emerald green and maybe the yellow green, just a few different colors of green to make them pop with color. And so I'm just putting the dots in there. I did Russian green first, olive green, and now I'm just doing a few dots of that emerald green. We are still using the number 10 Aqua Elite. And so a classic brush stroke for a leaf is just push down, and just like that. And then they're going to go up and do the one on the side there. Just like so. Perfect. That turned out great. So I'm going to mix up a little bit of the Russian green and some of the neutral black to get a bit of a toned down green. And we're going to use that here over on the side, and we're going to do a smaller leaf with some of that Russian green, neutral black, and olive green. Just those two. Clean off your brush and get in there. And I just want to do a smaller leaf off to the side of that one. And I'm going to do another one up here. So there's going to be 3 on the top. Same, I'm going to use that Russian green with neutral black mixed in. And olive green. I really love the olive green. I love that. I use those very often. Clean off your brush again, and then we're going to do the same kind of strokes. With that round brush, it's great for making Betty, did you want to go outside? So with the leaves, you can go and put as many of them as you want down. And you can do as big or as small as you like. And kind of fill up some of the space with these. I'm just going to go ahead and do a few of them by putting down a variety of different greens and having a loaded up brush with water. So the one thing about doing these dots is that you don't have to put them in the exact shape of what you're painting. So you don't have to put them in the exact shape of a leaf. For instance, we'll do one here with starting with the emerald green and Russian green and olive green. So we'll just dot, 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 kind of, in a bit of a square. Put one of these up the middle, and then a couple olive greens around. Okay, great, perfect. And then we're gonna go, and because we're gonna have water on our brush, we're just gonna drag those up and hit that leaf with that paintbrush. Beauty. And then you run into all those dots, and that's how you make it the shape of the leaf. So you don't have to put the dots in the shape of the leaf is basically what I'm saying. You just want to be able to make sure you hit all those dots so that they blend in and they don't look out of place. We'll add a couple down here. Clean off your brush. And the more interesting they look, the better off they are, I find. That's what I really like. I love a leaf that doesn't necessarily look exactly the same as the next one. Like, that to me is fun and exciting. So I think I'm going to put a little guy down here. I'm going to let that be that way. I know there's quite a bit of open space up here, but that's totally cool. I'm going to leave that the way it is. There's a couple things you could do. You could go add another little flower maybe up in this corner that is just maybe a couple petals. You could add just some greenery. What we could do as well in the picture is you can do line work and then do an entire flower up here that's just line work with the ink rather than it being paint. You can go in and add some leaves in there with just ink as well to create just a little bit of a different look. So we're gonna let that all totally dry up. This one's pretty dry. So we can work on this one. We've got our black Micron ink, archival ink pen. And this is when we can really create that shape of those petals with this. So we're gonna go in, oh, there's a little bit of wet there, but that's okay. And we're gonna create the shape of the petal. Doesn't need to be exact, doesn't need to be perfect, because that's the beauty of painting like this. So I'm just kind of going around the shape that I've already created. But it doesn't need to be totally exact. That's kind of wonky there. And sometimes what I'll do is if I feel it needs a little bit more, I will go over it 2 times. I don't know if this one's very good. That's good. I will go over the line work a couple times just to give a little bit more. And I feel because this one's so big, I will add that extra bit of line into it. So I'm just going around all the petals. Just like so. So that is awesome. These leaves are dried up, so we can go ahead and do the same with the leaves. You can go around them, you can go bigger than them. You can go, you know, a bit smaller. But this is when we can add in that nice detail to give the shape to our paint. Sometimes people actually draw out their entire painting first, and then they'll go and do the painting after. I guess whatever your preference is. You know, it's just some people like to do it before, some people like to do it after, so I'm just continuing along. These are the simplest leaf shapes you can do. And when we're doing these big flowers, I think it works out perfectly. So we're going to go along on here and do the outline of our petals down here. Still continuing on with that double line. So we've got those all done. Next up, you can go and add the little bit of line work into your leaves and your petals if you so choose. If you do not, that's totally fine, but I'm going to, because I like the way that that looks, to just kind of bring it all together, but not overdo it. As you can see. So then in the flower petals, I like to go kind of one up the center and then a little off to the side. And you can stick with, you know, doing 2 or 1 line, whatever you prefer. So whatever you're doing, whatever you feel works best for your painting is totally cool. It's your painting, so. And this is how we learn as well. You know, we can go through and do one thing and say, I didn't love that. You guys can hear my cat kicking around. For all of you new viewers and new subscribers, I do have a cat. His name is Texas, and he rips around often. He has a little bell on his harness. You can hear him in the background. And he often makes an appearance. He likes to kind of pop his head in here and see what's happening. So if that you can hear, that is Texas. He is part of the channel. As I've always said when I do a painting, and I said at the very beginning, the colors I use are just suggestions. And that's the cool thing about doing a painting. You can do this exact same style that we just did with so many different varieties of color combinations. You can do it monochromatic, you can do it complementary colors, you can do it gosh, you can do it with anything. Like you can do any amount of colors and any color combination you want. And so you can do the same painting so many times and have so many different paintings, which is what I love about this. It's like I could do this exact same painting 10 more times with all these different colors and it still looks so beautiful. So if you're like, oh, I want to put something up here in this area and I just don't really know what, or it's just feeling, you know, something is feeling off. Sometimes what I will do is I will go in and I will just add some leaves that are not painted. So, you know, we can go in here and maybe add something like that there. Coming off that, we could add maybe another little guy down here. And then we'll add, we'll add one up here. Maybe even 2. So that's something as well that you can do. If you don't want to take away from these big, bright, beautiful colors, you can go in and add just something in the background. I mean, you could even add an entire flower if you wanted to. That was just line work. You know, we can go put a little leaf down here, and then that just kind of fills in a little bit more space. If you want to, go ahead. If you don't. It's just a suggestion if you want to add in a little bit more something, but that's not going to really take away from how beautiful the painting is itself. So that's going to do it for the Micron ink part. And then we're going to go in with some metallic, because I don't know why, you guys, I just love the metallic. I think it just adds a little bit of sparkle into each painting, and I don't know, I just feel we could all use a little extra sparkle in our life, so I like to do that. I love to use my #1 script brush, or this 10-0 Aqua Elite Princeton brush as well. Text bit the end of it off, so I do have another one though. I bought another one. Either one of those is great, but because this is a bigger painting, I'm going to use my #1 script brush, and I love the idea of gold. It just makes me happy. So I'm going to use, I'll just show you guys. This is them swatched out. I don't know if you can really tell how shiny they are, but you really need to use quite a bit of paint for it to really show up. I'm going to use the gold pearl because I really do love that. But one thing that I also will use, actually, you know what? I'm not going to use that today. I'm going to put that one away. Sorry, guys. We're just going to have a little switch up because I want something a little bit more vibrant on this one. So one thing that I just got these, so I just started using them, and I really do like them. So they're a lot of fun. But one thing that this is what I started using because I couldn't find for a decent amount of money. Like, I didn't want to go and spend a crazy amount of money on something. I didn't want to spend a ton of money on something that I wasn't sure I was going to like. So I wasn't venturing into the metallic watercolor paints too far. So I started off by using calligraphy ink. And so I use Winsor & Newton, the metallic gold, and then the metallic silver ink. And then I just decided to try this Speedball. It's right vibrant gold, and I love it. So, but you got to shake these up really, really good, and they can be a bit messy. So just be careful. But it's amazing. It's a beautiful gold. And I don't know, I just love it. So today we're going to use that instead. It can be crazy, so just be careful. So I just like to go around. Sometimes in my paintings I will do entire outlines. In this I'm just going to go around and do some highlights in this Speedball Gold ink. It is so bright and yellow and fabulous. So I'm going to go and just do some highlighting around my leaves. So I'm just going to kind of do, oh yeah, it's beauty. If you don't like how bright it is, use something less bright. But I was like, I'm getting spring fever, I can tell, because I'm like, oh, brighter the better. So I'm just going around and doing some highlighting. And I'll do it in all the leaves and the flower as well. So I'm gonna, maybe I better go up here. So just a little bit, like, you don't want it to look too crazy, which I have done. I have done, you guys. I have absolutely overworked a painting and created a big mess. So it happens. So less is more, I find, with this gold, especially this one, because it's bright. And it just adds that. I don't know, I love it. And then signature thing that I also do, as you know, if you've been following me for a long time, is I always do splatter paint. And one time somebody did comment that they would have done without, and that's totally fine. I get that. It's not for everybody, but it's something that I really like. And to splatter the paint, it kind of takes away from the rigidness of a painting. And I love it, and so I do it. If you don't like it, don't do it because it's your painting. So if you don't like it at the end, I always kind of splatter, especially in the center where there would be pollen kind of splattered onto the petals in real life. I love the look of that. And then I just kind of splatter all out, which I will do. So we're going to move on over here and highlight up this one. So the nice thing about using these metallic calligraphy inks are how concentrated. They really, truly are. So they make it very fun. But then the nice thing about the watercolor paints is that they can really blend in with the painting. So they are not so in your face. So there's a place for both of them, depending on your mood and how you're feeling. I love that. So I'm not going to put any metallic into where these line ones are. I don't want to. I'm just going to leave that at that. So lastly, this is when I go in and I do the centers. So I like to put lots of globs of ink and the metallic into the center. It doesn't always need to be metallic. You can use a color, like if you want to just splatter in yellow, fine. You don't even need to use metallic. And so I take my brush and I load it up pretty good. I'm still using that #1 script. And I get a pretty good glob going on because I like to have a big, yes, like a lot in the center. And then you splatter it out from there. And so this, I don't know why I love this, but I grow hollyhocks and I grow flowers, lots of them. And so when I go see a hollyhock and the bees have been in there, or any pollinators been in there, it's like a big mess on the flower with pollen everywhere. And I just love the look of that. And that's really what that reminds me of, to be honest. I just kind of like, and I love that look where it's like, oh, somebody's been in here doing their work. All right, you guys. Well, that is pretty much it for that painting. So it takes a little while for that ink to dry. As you can see, it's kind of globbed on there. But you can go and put your initial in there, or like whatever you sign your painting with. I just put my K and then the year on every one that I do. I never know what I'm going to do with them, but lots of times I give these away as just little cards or gifts. So we're going to let that totally dry up. And, well, we can take the tape off, but just be very careful if you're going to take yours off. So you can see. I think it's just so springy and so fun. It's just such an easy way to make a beautiful painting. So if you guys enjoyed that tutorial, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. You guys are really, really amazing. And thank you for everybody that, again, who has recently subscribed, and for all my viewers that continue to support me and who have from day one. Thank you guys so very much. It's been so much fun. And I even for myself, I've seen how much my painting has evolved just by doing these tutorials. So this is as much for me as it is for you guys. And I just want you to know that. So thank you. Thank you for being along for the ride. And yeah, so if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you like it, be sure to let me know that as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's a lot of fun that you can have with those, just working with different colors. Well, you guys, that's going to wrap it up for this tutorial. Thank you so much, as I said before, for being along for this one. It was a lot of fun. I just love when I do these paintings, how it is so much more than just painting for me. And I wonder, I'm curious if you guys feel that as well. Like when I get painting, it's just so relaxing and it takes my mind off of everything else going on in my world or the world around me and just brings me into that present moment. It is so therapeutic for me. So if you guys feel that, let me know. I love this. I love how this turned out. Amazing. Also, one person did share. Oh, here's Tex. Hi, buddy. Are you going to say hi? Come say hi. Say hi to everybody, little guy. I know, but you're going to step on my painting. Okay. Anyways, somebody tried one of my tutorials. Thank you so much. And they shared and tagged me on their Instagram, which was very cool to finally see something that somebody's done. So if you guys ever do paint something and you do share it, or if you want me to even see something that you're painting, I'm at Krista Ursulescu on Instagram, at Blooms and Brushstrokes on Instagram, and on Facebook, Krista. I think I'm maybe actually Krista Lee. I'll take that in the show notes. So, or I'll put that in the notes so that you guys can find me. and tag me in something if you ever want me to see what you guys have going on, because that way I can see what you're up to, because that was such a highlight of my week, was seeing somebody try the last one. It just brought me so much joy. So anyways, you guys, that's going to do it for this tutorial. I will see you guys at the end of March when I'm back. I've gotten my life back together, and I will have so much inspiration in Thailand because it's flower season there right now, and I'm already planning to go to a flower market. I'm going to take as many photos as I possibly can of flowers, so that I have an incredible amount of inspiration for when I'm back, and we can just paint away and have a ton of fun and continue our painting journey. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you when I'm back from Thailand.